This is going to be my reaction video to the Lions' 26-14 win over the Raiders in Week 8 Monday Night Football. Really an impressive game from a defensive standpoint for the Lions. 1 week after really struggling to stop anything against the Ravens. I think they finished with 6 sacks from 5 different guys. Aleem McNeil is a guy, if you don't know his name, defensive tackle for the Lions, having a fantastic season. I think he had 2 sacks, a pass defensed. But the story of the game is Jameson and Gibbs, another standout performance. The one last week against the Ravens, some people may have discounted it as, the score was already 28-0 or 35-0, but just bursting through seams in the Raiders defense. And that's a tough defense for the Raiders. They suffered a couple of injuries in the game and clearly got worn down. But Gibbs had an impressive performance. Amazing touchdown run in the third quarter. Made 2 people miss. One was a linebacker, one was a safety, and then outruns a rookie, I think Jacorian Bennett, basically to the pylon for a touchdown. Ended up with, I think, 189 total yards, also 5 catches. Raiders really got nothing going offensively at all other than one drive. The 26-14 scoring differential is kind of misleading. I think as a Lions fan, you're probably disappointed in the offense for some of the early possessions, wasting opportunities to score touchdowns. They thankfully got a touchdown to end the second quarter, but 2 situations really make it look like a closer game than it was. But I would offer to you as a Lions fan, you'd like to see your offense be more efficient, putting points on the board and not turning the ball over. Marcus Peters gets a 75-yard pick six in the third quarter, and then Craig Reynolds is credited with a fumble where Max Crosby stripped him inside the 5 when you're going in to score again. Perhaps it's not a fumble. I'm not sure. I mean, really, it's tough for me to imagine that he's not down at that point. Goff's throw, out in the right flats that is picked off by Peters, allows the Raiders to get to 16-14 at one point in the third quarter. And at that point, it's like the Lions have controlled so much of the game and they're only up by 2. But then Gibbs and the Detroit offensive line and Ben Johnson, I thought, did a great job kind of course correcting and recommitting to the run game in that third quarter. Really just wore the Raiders down, who, if it were not for those 3 turnovers, because there was a fumble by Josh Reynolds as well, probably would have been blown out. Goff was really sharp other than that throw that was picked off. And 1 third down play where I think he threw behind Khalif Raymond. First half, I think he had 225 yards passing, ended up with 272. To be honest with you, we're going to let some stats flow here for a minute. To be honest with you, I was a little disappointed with Ben Johnson's play calls inside the red zone early as the Lions settled for a 9-0 lead where, really could have been 17-0 or 13-0. I was a little confused by some of the play calls, to be honest with you. But really, the Lions were in total control tonight. Goff did have a slick touchdown throw to Sam Laporta in between 2 linebackers late in the second quarter, put them up 16-7. Really answered the Raiders' only touchdown drive. And like I said, made it 16-7 at the half. Well, Detroit would finish with, I think, 486 total yards on offense and 29 first downs. So incredible output offensively in terms of total yards, first downs, just grinding down the Raiders defense. 81 offensive plays, including 222 rushing yards. St. Brown had another 100-yard receiving night. Laporta had a touchdown catch among 5 catches. I still think there was a lot left out there tonight on the field offensively for that team. Those early failures inside the red zone, I think, deserve some analysis. And then the turnover by Craig Reynolds, like I said, it's probably actually not a fumble. Even Troy Aikman, who's like super low energy on the broadcast, even he was like, hey, I think his forward progress was probably stopped a long time ago. I mean, you couldn't really put it any better than that. If you don't think Craig Reynolds is down at that point, forward progress is completely stopped. I'm not sure, what else the refs are looking for, but Ben Johnson did generate high-efficiency plays all night, put the Raiders' defense in conflict. Those 3 turnovers and the missed opportunities stick out for me because my expectation level is high for Ben Johnson and for the Lions offense. But 6-2 going into the bye week, hopefully for you as a Lions fan, feels pretty good for the first half of the season. Let me know if you guys agree. I would like to see the defense get some attention this week in terms of the film study that I'm going to do. I thought that Aaron Glenn did a great job. It seemed to me as if Cam Sutton was traveling with Devontae Adams, meaning if Adams lined up on the defense's right, then that's where Sutton was. Like they wanted to avoid having Jerry Jacobs on him. I could be wrong there. That may not have been the case, but that's what it looked like during the broadcast. The pressure that was applied on Garoppolo is interesting because generally this year, when there's been pressure applied, it's been by Aiden Hutchinson, but some of the stunts or blitzes were effective. I thought Troy Aikman talked about that some, although he did say that the Lions have been really effective at pressuring the quarterback. Like, did he not watch last week's game where that was really one of the main issues to deal with? Jimmy G is obviously less athletic than Lamar and even Geno Smith that caused some problems earlier in the year with scrambling. So it's good to see the Lions get 6 sacks. I still think that pass rush-wise, they need some more organic wins from the other side. Julian Okwara, I thought did get a sack tonight. Yeah, there it is on the stats that you guys see on the right-hand side. I thought he did get a sack tonight, and I thought he had another win in a pass rush situation. Selfishly, rooting for the Lions, I would want them to have a more high-level edge rusher on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, particularly on a night like tonight where, to be honest with you, I thought Colton Miller, the right tackle for the Raiders, did a great job against Hutchinson. I thought Hutchinson had many plays where he was kind of walked out of the pocket and kept away from the quarterback. I didn't think he was as dominant as a pass rusher as what I've normally seen from him. And it doesn't mean that he didn't play well. It just means that for him, the level that I'm used to for him, he did not reach that level tonight. Let's go through a couple of possessions here that I thought were important for the Lions. This one is a fourth possession. They're already up 3-0 when they take possession of the ball near midfield. Late first quarter, have to convert a 3rd and 11, which I think is the 6th play down from the top for you guys. It's a completion to Khalif Raymond underneath. Great catch and run for like 14, 15 yards. Gets them down to the 8-yard line. And I'm really not a fan of some of these play calls in here, to be honest with you. The 2nd and goal play call, the toss to Gibbs, where there was a hold called on the left tackle. I'm not sure it's a real big hold for me. I know he did get his arm around him, but he clearly appeared to let go. And then that DB Hobbs was able to get to the football and make the tackle. I'm not sure that's a hold that needs to be called, but in any case, they did call it. This 2nd and goal play call from the 16. I really think highly of Ben Johnson. I think he's a really talented offensive coordinator. I think he's got a great plan for each individual opponent. Some of these calls inside the red zone really disappointed me as someone who considers myself a fan of his play calling. The 2nd and goal play call from the 16, it's like an inside delayed handoff to Raymond in motion. The timing of it looked weird. Nothing about it looked very clean. It ends up being a 2-yard loss. The 3rd and goal play call from the 18, I mean, what are you going to say? Like, hey, let's throw the ball in the end zone and try to score. It's not that easy. So you call a screen to Raymond. Okay, you end up with 10 yards. I really don't have a problem with that play call. It's the 2 before that for me. Even perhaps the Jill ISO to Gibbs on the play before. There seemed to be an inordinate amount of run plays called from between the 5 and the 10 or 11 yard line, somewhere in that area. I'm not just talking about this 4th possession. I'm talking about throughout the course of building that 9-0 lead. I'm only illustrating this 4th possession for you guys because I think it illustrates it well. The 1st and goal play call from the 8 to Gibbs, 1 yard. And then the very next play, a toss to Gibbs. I understand that they rely on the run game and that's what Ben Johnson wants to do. And in fact, I did a video preview for this game saying that that's what needed to happen, was giving Jahmyr Gibbs a chance to carry the load, and he did that. 27 carries, 152 yards, 5 catches for 37 yards, an amazing game by Gibbs. So they did that. Having said all that, these play calls in these specific situations concerned me. I was texting Josh, the Lions fan who's in my Discord, and it was like, hey, it's only 9-0. One play here, and they're right back in the game. And sure enough, eventually in the second quarter, the Raiders are able to go down and generate a scoring drive. Josh Jacobs really took over at that point. I was surprised at the run defense on that possession. The Lions' run defense, if you ask me, has been one of the best 3 or 4 run defenses in the league over the course of the season. Clearly had difficulty last week stopping some of the option stuff that the Ravens did. Gave up a big pass play to a running back, Gus Edwards. Doesn't count as a run play, but those things are kind of anomalous over the course of the 8 games. The possession that the Raiders went down and scored on, however, was pretty amazing. Josh Jacobs, super talented running back, hasn't been able to get on track this year at all. He had runs of 9 yards, 7 yards, 2 6-yard runs, a 3-yard run, and then that first and goal from 3 for a 3-yard touchdown run. There was just too much space. Way more space than the Lions usually provide a running back, regardless of personnel grouping. And that was 11 personnel, so there's one less, interior D lineman on the field for the Lions at that point. I don't know about you as a Lions fan, what your thoughts were. I was surprised to see that drive, and when it made it 9-7, there was a moment there where I was concerned. Like, they've built this lead slowly and turned the football over once at that point, and then Goff just takes them right downfield. Really, I thought displayed the reason why Ben Johnson trusts him so much. That second down throw to Jameson Williams on the 6th possession. It's the second play from the top for you guys. Williams was in the slot, kind of over the top of the linebacker level, in front of the safeties, and he tried to jump over a safety, nearly broke free. I thought he was going to break the tackle and be gone. I actually said to Josh via message, I was like, I think Jameson Williams is going to score here soon. And he came close, but 22-yard gain energized the crowd. Then the screen to Gibbs. I mean, the speed of those two guys is really potentially game-changing. If you can get those guys the football in space, Jameson Williams, 22-yard gain up the right seam, and then 15-yard screen to Gibbs where he cuts back across the field left to right for 15 yards. You get the trap by Gibbs on the very next play where they initially thought that Spillane grabbed his hair and it was determined to be a horse collar. I didn't see a hold. I don't know. Maybe they replayed it and I was looking away or something. So the offsetting penalties allowed them to run it again, 1st and 10 from the 43. Gibbs again. St. Brown completion for 6. The 3rd and 6 completion with 39 seconds left to Laporta over the middle is quads, and it's a neat release. St. Brown is closest to the left tackle, and then Laporta's outside of him. St. Brown kind of goes vertical. Laporta cuts underneath, and I'm not sure where St. Brown took his route after that, but basically cleared up a lot of space for Laporta to just cut underneath, and then he sits down. Did think Aikman did a nice job of talking about that play. Laporta sits down because he's basically running into a linebacker over on the other hash, the right hash side of the field, and he stops, and Goff hits him perfectly. Those two guys are in sync in terms of Goff and Laporta. Big conversion there for my money because at that point it's 9-7. And a field goal puts you up 12-7. Still a one-score game. This touchdown pass on the very next play, well, the conversion, the 3rd and 6 conversion means you don't have to kick a field goal, clearly, and then gives you an opportunity to score a touchdown. And Goff just sticks that throw right there between Spillane, who I thought played a fantastic game again. I think he recovered a fumble, tipped a pass, did have a penalty, but he's got 2 interceptions on the year and 2 sacks. Pretty unbelievable what he's been able to do with the Raiders so far. But Goff, in this case, stuck that throw in there between the 2 linebackers before Spillane could get over there. 18-yard catch and run for Laporta. Puts you up 16-7 at the half. And at that point, you got to feel really comfortable about where you are because you've been able to run the ball, even though you gave up a big possession by the Raiders. You're able to get a 2-score lead. And then unfortunately, even though the defense goes out there and gets a stop to start the half, Goff's interception was a little concerning to me. Marcus Peters is a guy you just don't play with. Like, regardless of what people want to think about Marcus Peters now, yes, he's not the best tackler. As a starting corner in the NFL, you'd like to see him tackle better. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. He looks for the strip oftentimes and has given up extra yards. But one thing you cannot say is you just do not throw the ball in the flats to his side late in the progression and not expect him to be there. When Goff threw that ball out in the flats and I saw a Raiders jersey flash in front, Marcus Peters plays on the left-hand side. So 75-yard interception return makes it 16-14. Credit to the Lions, Jared Goff and Ben Johnson. They're able to go right downfield on their 8th possession after Peters' pick 6 closes it to 16-14. It's his 33rd career interception. It's insane. I don't know if you know, he had 8 interceptions as a rookie. Like ridiculous, pre-ACL injury Marcus Peters was a different player than what you see now. Go look at the stats. It's really shocking. But in any case, the Lions are able to answer that, go all the way downfield from the 25-yard line, first and goal from the 4, run the ball. I didn't like the second and goal play call from the 4, where Reynolds is stacked up, Crosby rips it out, Spillane's there. I didn't like that play call. I just did not. I think the world of Craig Reynolds. I think he's a really good football player. I like what he's bringing to the Lions football team. Having said that, you've got too much talent. You can throw the ball into the end zone to guys that are there. Who am I to question Ben Johnson? He's just generated almost 500 yards of offense on the night. I don't like that play call. I don't like 16-14. Craig Reynolds is the guy that I'm giving the football to. 2 plays in a row there, I believe. The second of which he gets stripped. I really don't think it was necessarily a fumble, but hey, the defense does a great job. Gets a stop. Adams drops a slant wide open, I thought, over the middle. Lions get the ball right back, and Gibbs puts on a show. 9th possession for you guys, Lions, and Gibbs goes 6 yards. And then the defensive pass interference that was called against the DB guard and Josh Reynolds. That was a beautiful play call. It's the same play call that Reynolds made the diving catch against the Green Bay Packers to the left side of the offense. It was the top side of the broadcast screen. Same exact play, except instead of Reynolds running the out, it goes the out and up. And the DB has no choice but to grab him. They were going for a home run there. And it was a great play call by Ben Johnson. And Goff was going for it. Pass interference. Left guard goes down for the Lions on that play. Play is stopped. And then the cool thing about this Lions team so far is they answer the bell. The very next play, 1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. Starting left guard just went down. And Gibbs bursts through the hole. Tremendous burst. Makes a linebacker miss on the left side. Cuts to the right. Makes the safety miss. Bounces it a second time out to the sideline. Outruns Jacorian Bennett to the pylon. 23-14. For all intents and purposes, it's really over at that point. Lions defense, I thought, went into kind of like highlight mode. I think the following guys all had sacks on the next 3 possessions. Aleem McNeil had a sack. One more field goal by the Lions puts them up 26-14. Anzalone has a sack. Actually, Anzalone and McNeil had sacks on the next possession, the 10th one, which was Raiders' 10th possession. They end up going for it on a 4th and 10, which Anzalone finishes with another sack. You get a missed field goal that really could have made it, a little bit larger differential in terms of the score. I'm not sure if you should be disappointed that the score was closer than you like it to be. The pick 6 kind of changes the dynamic. Really could have been 29-7 or 32-7 if you don't miss a field goal and don't fumble inside the 5. You're probably talking about another 10 points legitimately that could have been scored at minimum. From my opinion, you guys let me know what you think. I don't think that you should be disappointed with a home win that puts you at 6-2, but it doesn't seem like the offense finished up drives tonight in a manner consistent with what Ben Johnson normally gives you. Have to offer some comment about Davante Adams. He's clearly frustrated. You could see being missed wide open on a double move. Having said that, he dropped a touchdown pass last week against the Bears, where he beat their rookie quarter Tyreek Stevenson in the end zone on a slant fade. And he dropped it. The ball's right there in his hands to be caught. He dropped a slant tonight. I'm not saying that the quarterbacks are doing a great job for the Raiders, because they're clearly not. I didn't think Jimmy Garoppolo played well at all, but he's got some himself to blame in some of these situations too. And they've got some issues, obviously, with the Raiders' offense. There's too much talent, if you ask me, for them to be that haphazard and disorganized. I'm not sure that I can offer comment on Josh McDaniels. It would be easy to do so. It certainly doesn't seem like an offense that understands who they are. Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, the rookie tight end Meyer, he's solid, impressive. Jacoby Myers, good football player. Hunter Renfrow has been struggling, but look, there's film of him making plays in this league for the last 3 or 4 years. Too much talent over there for them not to be able to generate more points. Not necessarily against the Lions, who've played really good defense for the large majority of the year. Some of the Lions guys that I thought deserve mention, like I said, Aiden Hutchinson was not really a factor with the pass rush. Aleem McNeil, I don't know what his final stats were. I'll let the stats flow one more time. I don't know what his final stats were exactly, but he's been playing at a high level all year. And credit to Troy Aikman. I think he mentioned it a couple of times that Aleem McNeil has really increased his output this year against the run and the pass. I don't know how many sacks he has this year, but to my memory, it seems like at least 4 with 2 tonight. Anzalone had 2 sacks. I didn't think he was as involved in the tackles as what says there. He had 7. Normally, Anzalone's like a 8 to 10 or 11 tackle a game guy. Branch was also not heard from as much for the second game in a row, and I'm not sure what that is. I did see him on 2 blitzes. One time blitzing inside B gap, one time blitzing off the edge. So I'd like to look at some of that film this week. You guys let me know what you think would be good film study videos. Clearly, Jameson Gibbs deserves some attention. It's kind of crazy. I did a video of Gibbs last week after, a runaway loss where most of his yardage was in the second half, and then he goes off this week. I'm not going to lie. I was sitting there watching the game like, yes, I was just glad to see him confirming what we all saw last week against the Ravens, that he's a guy who can make plays in the run game and the pass game. And I like that they used him when they were under center and in the shotgun on multiple run concepts. I thought he was the best player on the field. It's hard to say he's the best player on the field. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is, for my money, the best player on the field pretty much every game that he plays in terms of the Lions offense against somebody's defense. But Jameson Gibbs looked like the best player on the field for much of the game tonight. And I know as a Lions fan, you were hoping to see Jameson Williams get a touchdown. I was too, but it was nice to see him at least make an impact on one play. I know he did have a drop on one on a design pass play to him along the sideline, and then Max Crosby was able to get a free shot on him for a big tackle. In any case, you guys let me know what you think of the way I broke down some of the play here, talking about the 4th and the 6th possession by the Lions. I didn't think that the Raiders' offense was really worth talking about too much because the Lions, I thought, really took them out of most things they wanted to do, except for that one drive where Josh Jacobs was able to carry the ball 7 times and punch it in there from 3 yards. Not a great win, but a good win for the Lions at home. Going into really the halfway point, 6-2. I know it's not the real halfway point now because it's a 17-game season, but a lot of winnable games coming after the bye. And then I'm still pointing towards those 2 matchups against the Vikings, 2 of the last 3 games in the season. Of course, the Vikings season dynamic has totally changed now with Kirk Cousins being out. So who knows what they'll look like at that point. Competition-wise for the division, there really is none for this Lions team. That shouldn't be their goal anyway. Their goal should be to try to get home field advantage in the NFC. It's going to be tough to do. You got the Eagles, you got the Seahawks. The 49ers are going to be a factor. The Cowboys are going to be a factor as well. This Lions team belongs in that discussion, in my opinion, and they proved that tonight, even though there's going to be a lot of people that will say, hey, you beat a bad team at home. You just got blown out the week before by a good team on the road. That's kind of the nature of the NFL. So appreciate you guys checking out the video. Let me know what you think of my commentary and some of the things I brought up and the issues I brought up with the offense tonight in the comment section. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this video, this reaction video to the Lions' 26-14 win over the Raiders, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.